had 10 groups of different paranormal investigators and research groups who go into this house and investigate supposed claims of hauntings. The majority of that group came back with evidence, whatever that was, EVPs, photography, video, that this house was haunted. According to him, this house wasn't haunted. So what's going on here, if this is the case? What is going on? Of course, after giving this information to these people, they were very, very angry about it. Actually, I think two of the groups were very open with the experiment and wanted to talk more about what some of these ideas were. But everyone was pretty angry about finding out that the house wasn't haunted, but they came up with some kind of evidence of ghosts. And of course, I think he was even almost was sued. I think they tried to sue him, but it didn't go through. So, I started, that's more of a recent experiment, but looking at this and actually taking a look back at some of this research as I got forward with some of my experiences, I started to come up with a theory. After reading more into parapsychology and its research, I started to conclude that most spiritual experiences were really, if anything, psychic experiences. This would explain why most people can't collect evidence. And of course, if we did have evidence that proved ghosts, we would not be searching for ghosts and the proof of it. So of course, what we're dealing with here is still questionable claims and evidence of supporting these ideas of ghosts and supporting the idea of what we claim a ghost is, of a disembodied person or someone that actually has some sort of intelligence that can willfully go between reality. Go ahead.
You want to go to 2941 North Kedzie in Logan Square.
Okay.
Go to the third floor. You go to the third middle and third front. You get a lot of evidence that you need right there.
And, like I said, I've had personal experiences, but once again, I, of course, did not collect any physical evidence, and I'm still looking for that, and that's why I'm still doing what I'm doing.
Go on over there, you'll find plenty.
That area itself is quite a good thing.
Building's very old.
The three categories that most place these experiences under seem to share the same characteristics. The categories are haunting, poltergeist activity, and psychic experiences. And it was dissecting these particular categories that I started noticing the similarities, which of course concludes me that these are psychic experiences. When you look at a haunting, you share pretty much the same experience as a psychic would. Dealing with poltergeist activity, the only thing that's different is either a supposed demon or some kind of outside force. Outside force is an acronym. The majority, from what people study poltergeist activity, is that it turns out to be a 14 or 15-year-old girl causing these particular experiences. Psychokinetic and so on, moving things off the shelf. So, really looking into that, I started really coming down and homing it down. Sightings, along with the EMF factor, showed me a few clips and of different investigations that they did that helped out with that as well. One of them was EMF thing. And with that, these people had high EMF wires going through their particular area, and they were claiming that stuff was flying off the shelves, they were seeing shadow figures, and so on. So that's something that helped actually cultivate a little bit of what this EMF possibility might do, maybe reduce these experiences. We don't know what the frequencies are. They're still studying them, and if this was true, or if there was real good, I should say there is evidence, but enough evidence to prove this theory, then we would obviously conclude that EMF frequencies are causing this. But more and more, this information is slowly coming out through this research. And, of course, we still have to experiment with what we're dealing with here. It was later, while researching quantum mechanics and theoretical physics, that I found what was really the missing link to this research. And, of course, I'm not an expert in quantum mechanics. I've done quite a bit of research, but I'm not going to get totally into that. It itself is its own type of presentation. But quantum mechanics is a branch of physics providing a mathematical description of dual particle light and wave-like behavior and the interaction of matter and energy. What that's basically saying is we're understanding the subatomic world, and at some point of the molecule, the atom, we see that it acts as a particle, which is this, and a wave, which is nothing in a sense, which is light. Actually, photons acts as a wave and a particle, which is the only thing that has that capability. Everything else does that, and so on. Completely is solid, or it's either a wave. And that itself is what kind of of really understanding this subatomic world, understanding that there was actually more going on to this reality than we previously thought, really helped me push into going into this more and seeing what kind of overlay it is. Just so you know, quantum mechanics is actually the fact and reality of what we're doing. Theoretical physics is really what we're dealing with and trying to understand what string theory, M theory, dimension, and so on come into play, as well as where most people get their mysticism from, or trying to validate the mysticism, is through theoretical physics. If you ever heard of quantum touch, that's something of thinking that the mind is affecting subatomic particles that help you heal. Theoretical physics is a branch of physics which employs mathematical models, abstractions of physics to rationalize, explain, and predict natural phenomena. And of course, we're dealing with just theory here. I would advise that you guys do a little bit more research yourselves on quantum mechanics. This is really the next physics. And of course, just trying to understand what this labor of reality is something that's really key to understanding everything overall. And it's more of a revolution in science as well, especially in the sense what I'm trying to deal with and what others like me are dealing with. It's kind of a revolution on our thoughts on an old process, an old way of thinking. And quantum mechanics, even though it's over 100 years old, has actually many different belief systems that we apply now. And overall, I think this is where we come into what the future of paranormal research is. Like I was explaining before, quantum mechanics is kind of a revolution of what we're understanding now. And it's actually calling everyone from every different belief system, every different thought process, paradigm, schools of thought to come together and start taking their research and seeing what connects. I think the future of paranormal research is doing just that. Kind of what I have done with looking over all these different experiences, looking at the history, and taking my experiences and theorizing what the possibilities can be based off my experiences. Of course, other people have had different experiences with paranormal research. They can tell you their story as well. What I'm going to tell you right now is that through my experience, I haven't really gathered the information, or I haven't really gathered the evidence that needed to hold claim to these particular ghost spiritual experiences. It is only through this that we're going to act together as a community, us individually looking into these particular things and research. You're never too old to add new things. Some of neuroplasticity is something that can prove that. Neuroplasticity is actually when you experience something, your brain hardwires it into your head. So no matter what you see, this is also something you should add, that should be added into what we're dealing with the paranormal. What we see is technically true. We have memories that are tied to that particular experience. Even if it's something that we daydream, we actually make a wiring into our brain to do that. This is also tells you that we can't discount those personal experiences anymore, because a lot of people used to laugh at that. Science, for sure, is coming up closer and closer to the possibility of what we are dealing with. And I think right now, that is what the future of paranormal is, gathering this information together and hopefully combining and finding a final unified theory to what we are dealing with. And really, it's only up to you guys, not just me. I'm just some dope who decided to look into this research and take things into my own hand. But I was just like any of you, and I just took the time to actually go ahead and really do some heavy research on what we're dealing with. And it leaves it really up to your hands of what we should do next. So with that, I am Justin Villarreal, founder of the LCGH Research Group. And I thank you for coming by and hopefully enjoyed my crash course into paranormal research.